influence the business and the systems. And actually, I was in a conversation recently with my learning and development colleagues, where they say it's actually transformed. There's now a new acronym. There's always a new acronym, Sally. It's now about JEDI,
yeah.
which is really justice, equality, diversity, and inclusion. But I think sometimes, leaders they get consumed with all these new acronyms, but the core bit is around how do they add value by making sure everybody's views is included in a way that is meaningful and is sustainable. So I think for me, it's not about necessarily the answers, but for leaders to think about who else can we have in this conversation? Who systemically is excluded by virtue of where they are in the organization? Who else might give a different view in order to stay away from groupthink? So I think for me, it's about continuously pushing the boundaries around who are we including in the business, but not only are we including them, do they feel they belong, and do they have agency to really make an impact? That's what, for me, some of the practical ways where we can explore around diversity and inclusion.
I think there's such a very westernized lean on DEI and the more JEDI at the moment. And I think that we still need to take the perspective of saying that, in Africa, we have perhaps a richer understanding of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or certainly a different one. And I think that we do need to look at how the African context plays out, rather than simply looking at the American or European definitions and ways of learning around that to make a difference here. I find there's a bit of a slant. I don't know if you see that as well.
Absolutely. There's a far greater richness when it comes to diversity in the African space, and we can even bring it down to the South African space, particularly because of our history.
Yeah.
And I always say that we need to think about the nuance, not just of the country, but the context in which these things exist. I think the idea of diversity and inclusion in some sectors are far more advanced than in others. And that's why, for me, when we design these things, it's not about the acronym, but of saying, what is currently playing out in business? What are we seeing? What have we observed? Not just to talk the talk, but what is the lived experiences of employees when it comes to some of these things? And simply put, I would encourage leaders to go and seek out that feedback and say, what is the lived experience of employees in our business, particularly those that are traditionally excluded? And so ask about millennials, ask about people in your organization that are part of the LGBTQI community. And if you don't have, then how do you seek out information around those things? Ask about, how are the women feeding in your business, but across the various ethnic groups. So you've got specific nuances to work with, and not just limited in terms of the confines of just an acronym, but the reality of what's really playing out in your business.
Absolutely.